Progress is humanity's kink, and we are all dirty little for it. It was just this line in the sand moment where I'm like, I fucking can't live like this anymore. From now on, not a penny from pressure, only pleasure. If it gives me energy, it's a yes. If it takes my energy, it's a no. All of a sudden, my income started increasing really fast. We'll cross 4 million only pleasure dollars this year.
Damn. This is so much more than some brilliant marketing statement. You embody it.
The reason we keep getting less is because we keep saying yes to it.
One of the things you're most known for is teaching women how to soften.
We are so trained to be strong and rigid. Most women don't know any other way.
This is the secret, if there is one.
Oh my God, if there is one, this is it. My nervous system needed to reinterpret safety as having nothing to do with money. I figured out how to make money. I didn't figure out how to have a good relationship with money. Money was still crushing me.
If someone listening to this podcast knows they're ready to make a quantum leap into the next income level, what are the first 3 things you would have them do to be able to hold more?
You can shift the emotional state by number 1.
Okay, serious question. What if you could produce even better results with prioritizing pleasure instead of pressure? That's exactly what we're talking about today with my guest, Andrea Crowder. She is the creator of the pleasure model. She's the founder of More Alive, and she's honestly one of my biggest expanders. We are talking about self-abandonment. We're talking about how to approach business through the lens of pleasure instead of pressure, and why the way that we are conditioned as entrepreneurs, and most of us as women, is actually setting us up to fail. You're gonna love this conversation. I got so much from it, and I know you will too. Andrea Crowder, welcome to Powerhouse Women.
I can't believe I'm here.
I'm so excited that we're here live and in person.
Level 12 obsessed. Thank you.
I was going to say, we just got to have the juiciest conversation for your podcast.
Yes.
It was one of those that I think time stopped. The conversation went so deep. The people I love to connect with in this season especially are those type of people. So I'm so excited to have you here so we can redo it all.
Let's do it.
Okay. Well, I think the perfect place to start is not your career in general, but your personal brand, people knowing who you are, really started the moment that you switched from thinking you had to work one way to embodying more pleasure. Can you tell me about that?
So I was going through a really tough season. I was going through a divorce. I had been supporting my then husband with severe PTSD for many years, and my vitality and my life force had just tanked. And I remember thinking, like, this is my chance to really start to put myself first, to restore to the energy that I had really loved and honestly thought of as kind of like a main characteristic of mine. But because I had been in it so deep for so long, I just didn't feel like myself. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to go on this little experiment. And I had also, at the end of the previous year, I had said yes to this client that I knew that I shouldn't have said yes to. And I said, I don't think this is the right space for you. I feel like you need therapy. And she's like, no, I'm going to do that too. And she didn't. And it just took so much from me to be able to hold not just the space for her, but the space for everybody else in the container that it was impacting. And I remember it was just this line in the sand moment where I'm like, I fucking can't live like this anymore. I can't be like, I call it my Captain Save-A-Ho cape had to come off.
Wait, hold on. I need that. We need that as like a GIF.
You're welcome. So I surrendered my Captain Save-A-Ho cape and I said, from now on, not a penny from pressure, only pleasure. But I hadn't said it in that exact way before. It was just this deciding factor of I'm only going to do it if it makes me feel more alive. And I want to say it was a masterclass. I was just talking about my journey, and all of a sudden my income started increasing really fast. Like we grew by 300% in that year when I was like devoted to this experiment. And I said on a masterclass, I said, here's what we did, not a penny from pressure, only pleasure. And the chat blew up. And I was like, oh, you guys like it when I say it that way. Because I've been saying like decide from love versus not fear for many years. And it's like, people are like, yeah, of course. Right. Like me too. But not really. Right. It wasn't a devotion. To me, it was a fucking devotion. Only this way. I don't want it if it doesn't feel like this. Won't do it anymore. And then I put up a post, just like a cute little quote card. I was like, oh, people liked that. So I said in the post, not a penny from pressure, only pleasure. And all of a sudden I said, we've made $1 million nearly, not a penny from pressure, only pleasure. All of a sudden I start getting podcast interviews from like the bros, and they're like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Not possible. Tell me how. I have all these questions, but what about this? And what about this? And like, I had a way by that time to logically explain what I knew intuitively when I began. And that just became like the main thing. People know me now as they're like, oh, she's the pleasure over pressure girl. People come to me and they hire me as a coach. They'll be like a 7 or 8 figure entrepreneur. And I'm like, what do you want me to help you with? And they're like, I heard you the pleasure over pressure girl. And I'm like, oh, that's literally like my whole marketing plan now is like, this is just what I do for people. But I did it for myself first at like a Virgo level of devotion of like, I'm doing it this way from now on. This is like my life's purpose for myself. And that became like a total pivot of everything that I talk about now, everything that I create.
That's what I was going to say. This is so much more than some brilliant marketing statement that ChatGPT helped you come up with.
Yeah.
You embody it. You were embodying it before you had the words to put to it. Then when the words clicked in, it came alive and people got it because people already feel it from your energy.
True.
And that's the difference. I think that's really important, especially in the type of work that you're doing and the type of breakthroughs you're helping people achieve. This is not, it's so much further below surface level. But I want you to say that line again. I just really want people to get this. You earned $1 million.
That year, we earned just shy of $1 million. The following year, we did 1.5. So I'd gone from around like 300-ish in my coaching business the year before. And I had been pretty much at that point for about 3 years and unable to break through. Once I shifted into this devotion of like, I won't do it for the money anymore. I only do it if it creates vitality, if it creates pleasure. Pleasure just means like any sense of word that gives you energy.
Yeah.
If it gives me energy, it's a yes. If it takes my energy, it's a no.
Yep.
And so, yeah, that was that.
And honestly, not a penny of those earnings was from pressure.
Yeah, we'll cross 4 million only pleasure dollars this year soon.
Damn. Okay, let's dig into this because it's one thing to say it. It's a whole other journey to start to notice the micro ways. I'm going to speak from my own perspective that I've conditioned myself to think that the pressure way of operating is how it has to be, or this is the only way to get it done. When you are taking on a new client, for example, how do you start to help them unwind what pleasure even means to them? Because I can speak from personal experience. That's something I've had to even learn. What does pleasure, what does my version of doing this in a way that feels really good and really energetically aligned even look like?
You know, it's so different for every single person, but one particular client comes to mind. She came to me and she was creeping up on her first 8-figure year. And I didn't know anything about her. She shows up in my DMs. She had apparently DM'd me like 8 months before that. It was one of those mini chat triggers and it just got lost in the DMs. Never saw it. And then she DM'd me again. And she's like, hey, do you have any private coaching spots available? And I was like, let me talk to you. Chatted with her a little bit. And so I got a feel for where she was. And I knew what her intentions were in terms of like, I can't remember exactly how she said it, but she didn't even have the words to say like, I just need my business to feel differently. It was just like, she knew she needed some refinements because she was at a capacity of, she grew so fast and her nervous system just hadn't caught up to where she was at. And how she was operating her business from how she showed up for was still more at the $1 million point, not the $10 million point, but she had a $10 million business. And the first time we got onto a Zoom, I looked at her in the eyes and I just saw like broken glass. And I'm like, I can hear in the tone of her voice where she has like the posture of strength and like whatever it takes and all of that being true and breathtaking to see a woman gather all the capacity that she had, but I believe also unnecessarily because most women don't know any other way. And what I start to do is I start to realign women to the deeper truths, because what happens is they'll come to me and they're like, well, this is what's happening. And, I have all of these clients and I have this and like, I don't have time. And like, people are like, meditate and do more for yourself, self-care. Like that's useful when you already have the capacity for it. But some people need you to create the capacity for them to be able to bring that into their life or for it to actually make a deep impact. And she was at that point where she's just like, if you give me a fucking 4-step process, I'm going to die. Like I literally can't do another 4-step process. So like my gift became figuring out how to say things in a way that the part of her mind that causes the pressure and the motion. I say all the time, I'm like, pressure is a symptom, not a diagnosis. But the world of entrepreneurship says this is just an area where we have to create acceptance. And we just have to learn how to tolerate more. And I think that that is so harmful. I think it's a flawed concept. I think it's a fucking untrue concept. And because pain or any sort of emotion in the body has nothing to do with what's happening externally. It has to do with how we're interpreting it.
Right.
And a lot of that is happening below the level of consciousness that people just don't even know. So they'll come to me and they're just like, they think I need to move my schedule around.
Right.
I need to
just need a time block.
This. Yeah, I need a time block. I need to be more efficient. I need like
more pressure.
Exactly.
Okay, so if someone is listening to this, starting to get an inkling that, wow, everything she's saying is hitting home a little too close to home. My business doesn't feel good. The balance between life and business doesn't feel good. How do you help people rewire the way that we relate to pressure? What are we getting wrong about pressure that's setting us up to fail?
Pressure is, like I said, pressure is a symptom, not a diagnosis. And so it depends on the area that it's showing up. But I would say an area that it shows up for a lot of people is overcommitment. We look at what the rest of the world provides in terms of a total service, and we give that because that's what we think will make our product sell. And we do it with the best intentions, right? And we don't realize like this is a form of self-abandonment. When it's for the money, not something that creates strength in my body, I started asking myself questions like, okay, who's the woman that has everything that I want? And I started to imagine her and really dial her in. And I saw myself when I was like late 50s. My grandchildren were running up to me. My daughter was coming to me asking for financial advice, which felt special because at that time that I was starting to dial this in, I didn't feel like anybody would come ask me for financial advice. I figured out how to make money. I didn't figure out how to have a good relationship with money. Money was still absolutely crushing me, shredding my insides. So I started to like dial in like who she would be and how she would be. And she had this very like soft posture. She had this posture of wisdom. She had this posture of agility. And this is where I started to get really curious. I'm like, okay, if the way that we are approaching business is to like grip it and force it and do what we're told to do, because that's what makes us good girls, right? We're like, I don't know about you, but I have like,
oh yes,
I love a good, like you say you're a good girl to me and I'm like, I can do anything.
Yeah. Yep.
That doesn't mean I should. But if all of a sudden I'm starting to dial it into morality, like wealth doesn't respond to morality. Wealth responds to our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions. And so I was doing all of these things that made me good, that made me the good entrepreneur, that made me the good movement creator, that made me the good coach. And the whole time it had nothing to do with what felt aligned, true, and honest. And once I started shifting to like, what's truth? I believe that when we follow the truth already knows how to multiply. It multiplies itself. And so I started dialing back like, okay, ask a very simple question. And this is one of the first things that I do with all of my clients. Number one, what are your values and are you running your business as such? And number two, if you made this decision, if you imagine yourself making this decision, does it make you feel more alive or less alive? If it makes you feel more alive thinking about having done it, it's a yes. If it makes you feel less alive thinking about having done it, it's a no. Really, really simple, because I looked at this posture of this older woman who was soft but tall. Her shoulders were back. She knew shit. She knew shit that I didn't know yet. In order for me to build myself into that shoulders back, soft posture, soft eyes, that like, I know my shit wisdom, I had to start making decisions with her in consideration first, not what will bring the money in today, not what will make the client happy today. And so I started just thinking, if I make decisions with future self in consideration first, always, simply even down to like, if I eat this in an hour, will I feel more alive or less alive? If I say yes to this client next week, next month, after the money rush wears off, will I feel more alive or less alive? It's hard initially to start refining those decisions and saying no to the things that you are so used to saying yes to. But I say all the time, the reason we keep getting less is because we keep saying yes to it.
I need a minute after hearing that. It's so real. And the distinction you just shared, I've never heard someone say it that way, to imagine, okay, once the money rush, the dopamine hit of seeing that cash flow come into the business, once that wears off, do you still feel alive? Yeah. Actually servicing that contract, coaching that client, facilitating that event. And that was a hard distinction for me because I love the dopamine hits.
We all do. But because I am super ADHD, I believe we get to have both.
Agreed. Absolutely agree.
Yeah. So if it makes me feel more alive having done it, then I ask myself, then how can I feel more alive doing it? I'm still seeking that. Like, I want to feel good doing it too. It's a demand, a requirement for me to have both.
Yes. And that's an important distinction too. I think I'm reflecting back on the ways that I've had to play out the whole scenario and still check for the aliveness before I give myself the green light, realizing that I'm actually great at making money. I'm great at coming up with a new offer and building excitement and knowing it's going to make an impact, but not always running it through that filter of how do I feel in the tail end of it once that high wears off.
Right.
You said a really important term that I want to dig into more. We were having this juicy conversation this morning with our other girlfriend, Rachel Luna, as we were getting ready for this podcast day about self-abandonment. That was not a term that before I started therapy, before I really went through the journey of the last 2 years, that I had ever heard, but I was living it. How do you define what self-abandonment is? What does it look like in the life of a high-achieving woman? Because I think it looks different than in a life of a high-achieving woman than someone else.
Self-abandonment is choosing anything that steals vitality after having done it. I was at a dinner the other night with a group of friends. And we were those friends that just like, you can't have a normal conversation. It has to be like deep. And my friend brought these cards. And so everybody would take a card and you would pick someone to ask the question to, and then they would ask it back. And so each person got to answer and we went around the table. And my friend Leanne asks Keith, she goes, my boyfriend, what is something that you have learned from Andrea? What has been something that you've learned in your partnership? And he goes, I've just noticed that she has this way of living. And it was interesting to me when we first got together, because I would ask her a question and I'd say, do you want to do this? And she would just say, I don't really feel alive about that. And he's just like, I kind of don't care. This is just what we do for people. And he was like, I was really quite bothered by it at the end. And then Leanne's husband, Justin, goes, wait a second. What do you mean? What do you mean it doesn't make me feel alive? And I said, what I mean by that is that if there's no life in it, there's no God in it. And if there's no God in it, there's no me in it. And so I'm choosing this devotion of following this path of life. And I believe that God will do that for me by breadcrumbing little ways that increase vitality. I want to be the woman that's the most alive on her last day of life, the most alive she's ever been on her very last day. And so it started to create this posture of, I won't abandon myself. And at the same time, I know that if there's life force in me for it, there is for everyone. So Keith had asked me one time, he's like, hey, I want to go to California because Dana, his daughter, is graduating this thing that she's going to. It's like a Tony Robbins-esque type thing. And we're like so proud of her. She's 18 and she's like devoting herself to personal development. She's so psyched about it. And he's like, do you want to go to California for her graduation? in my heart, of course I did. Like, this is like such a cool thing. But I just imagined myself having done it. I imagined myself being Monday after having done it over the weekend, and my energy went down. And I was like, there's no aliveness in this for me. And he was so bothered. Like, he got silent for a while, and he comes back to me and he's like, so isn't this just like, you don't want to be there? I said, that's not what I said. There's no life force there for me. And what we found later is he gets there and he calls me and he goes, you wouldn't have been able to go anyway. They only let people who have previously graduated this event go to the graduation. I had no idea. God knew. God didn't want me there. God didn't want me wasting. I would have been a little disappointed, right? Yeah. Little slightly resentful.
Sure.
If I had self-abandoned and not trusted this. And at the moment I said nothing, but like a couple days later, I was like, do you see why God didn't want me there now? And he said, yes. And he has had to witness me. It is so hard to hold the line when you love someone and you're like, I want to give you this thing that you want. But God didn't want me in that passenger seat that day. Someone else was meant to be there. And it was actually his cousin. Like, they had this beautiful time. It was a family event. So I'm over here also trying to honor wholeness for myself, trying to honor integrity, which I just describe as being in the truth of my soul as I know it to be today. And also honor the fact that if I say yes to something that I shouldn't have, I'm taking up somebody else's seat that is supposed to be the yes. And I won't interrupt other people's karma in that way either. And in a world where we are taught that to be selfless is a good thing, it's so tough because I'm like, just look at the word selfless. Take yourself out of it.
It's a complete undoing of so much of our conditioning as women. Complete undoing.
Yeah.
And I love that example because it highlights the other way we could choose to look at it. That when we're getting that intuition, however, and I think human design has helped me understand how my intuition, my answers tend to come. I think when we learn to trust that, number one, the level of self-trust it builds.
Yeah.
The depth that relationships can go, because when I'm saying yes, I'm saying my full yes. There's nowhere else I would rather be right now in this moment than recording this with you because I said yes to it.
Yeah.
Like, I actually get to give a full yes. And I was sharing with you earlier today about how my own journey with self-abandonment had me explore how all of my forms of self-abandonment are highly praised.
Yes.
All of them.
Good girl.
Good girl. And how much that has controlled me.
And breeds later resentment in every relationship. So when I say yes to you that I didn't really mean, what I'm promising you is a later gift wrapped in resentment. I won't do that to you. And I said that very early on in this relationship when it was new. And I said, the one thing that you can guarantee from me, and then I'm requiring back from you, this is not an ask, this is a requirement to be in relationship with me, is that if you say yes, you better mean it with your whole fucking soul. And there's been little moments where he's noticed, like, he'll agree to go to a restaurant he didn't really want to go to, you know, and it's like subtle little ways where he's like found himself where he's like, you know what? My whole life, he had been praised for being good boy, right? Yeah. Like good husband, good man. And that's all any man wants to be. He wants to be a good man, right? It's like such high praise for him. And I said, like, you are a good man for me when you show up with your full heart. And what he's learned is the only thing that I ever want from him is his full presence. And if he's not in it fully, I feel it. It hurts. It feels sad for me.
Yeah.
Like even in the moment where I'm getting the thing that he thought that I really wanted, my attention has now been brought out of it because I'm being present with somebody who's partially present with me. And it's so sad.
Yeah.
And we all do it to each other in the name of love.
Yeah.
And we don't question it. I have questions.
Like, hello, excuse me. Hi, you in the back.
I'm just here to point out some obvious things here.
Like, so good.
Our nervous system is clocking these mistruths and we feel it in our body. It's just, we have been so conditioned to not listen to it. And I'm like, listen, we will all love each other and trust each other more on the other side of this little experiment.
You know what this is also making me think about is I've been talking with my community a lot and with my friend groups a lot about how I think we're entering an era in this world that we're all a part of. Business, you have a personal brand, a message, where the energy of authenticity is going to be the highest and most valuable currency. And what I'm hearing is all the ways that my self-abandonment actually took me out of authenticity, which also then robs me of my ability to make the true impact that I want. Right. And I hadn't until this very moment put those two together. And that's part of the reclamation for myself in this season, is realizing that my authenticity is my biggest gift to the world. It's the biggest gift to my relationships. And there was a lot of undoing that had to happen because my entire worldview previously had been tuned to this question of, who do I need to be so this person loves me, so they don't abandon me, so they don't leave? Can you speak to that, the power of the authenticity that comes on the other side of making these hard decisions, having these hard conversations, taking the radical actions in order to honor your own authenticity, and how that then connects with our ability to make more money?
Bring me back to the money piece, just in case I forget to go there. But I remember working with a client, and she said to me, she was feeling her visibility was being compromised because she wanted to hold back. And so we did a little bit of unconscious work, and we located this memory of, she was 5 and she went into the middle of the room when her family was having a party, and she started singing. She just started sharing the truthful expression of what felt alive in her body. And her parents came over, well-intentioned, and I believe it was her dad, pulled her aside because he didn't want her to be embarrassed for her just expressing her truth, trying to protect her from judgment. And I said to her, your dad's intention was to protect you. Do you understand that? And she said, yes. And I said, what he didn't get at the time, and what you and I would understand now, is that, what do you believe would contribute to safety, strength or weakness? She said, strength. And I said, when you tell the truth, do you feel strong or weak? And she said, strong. And I said, and when you lie, do you feel strong or weak? And so what he did at that moment was he taught her to lie, to hold back her truth. And when people ask me what authenticity means, I say it just means telling the truth, whatever it is. And I said his intention was to keep you safe, and he had a miswire in how his mind interpreted how to cause safety. And we cause safety by just telling the truth, because the truth creates a posture of strength. And so anytime where we are doing things to appease other people, to not interfere, to not make someone else uncomfortable, discomfort, even within the truth, still ends in strength. And so when we're talking about not wanting to make someone else uncomfortable or not wanting to disappoint someone. So like a client asks us to show up and teach on their mastermind, and there's no life force in it, but we do it anyway because we don't want to make them uncomfortable. What we really did was we said that we don't want to face the truth of how it feels to disappoint someone. We don't want to have to see the look on their face. But the reality is that when we do, we build trust. The thing that makes me feel the safest in my man's arms is when he tells me no. If someone in my life doesn't have the posture and the strength to tell me no, I don't trust you. And if there's no trust, there's no longevity in relationships. We do that with the intention of preserving longevity in a relationship. I don't want to disappoint them, because what if I lose them? The reality is that if you don't have the balls to disappoint someone, you will lose them because they will stop trusting you.
Such a shot to the gut, honestly, to realize how we, again, are just not conditioned to live that way. And it's setting us up for failure in all areas.
Yeah.
You really are known, one of the things you're most known for is teaching women how to soften. I want you to unpack what this word soften means, because that's not typically a word that we hear associated with entrepreneurship or, so many of the goals and things that we are conditioned to want to go after. And I think this is kind of like the way to bring it full circle is to start to understand what it practically looks like to live in alignment with everything that you're talking about.
Soften to me means receptive and agile. And if you were to listen to an expert talk about, like, if you know that you're about to rear end someone, let's say you're going 60 miles an hour and all of a sudden all the traffic comes to a stop and you have to brake fast, but you know that you have not braked fast enough and you are going to rear end someone. Why do you think that people who fell asleep at the wheel are the people who survived the accidents, right? The drunk driver who fell asleep survives and other people who are awake didn't, because one has a softened, agile posture in their body and someone else is bracing.
Yep.
When we make decisions that are constantly self-abandoning, we're walking around bracing not to feel something. We're always holding the posture of bracing. And that puts us in a compromised position so that when life does hit the fan, when the storm comes, because it always does, there will be some sort of collision that we'll have to face. Somebody might sue us. Like my friend said, if you haven't been sued yet, you're not a real entrepreneur. And I'm like, I really hope to avoid that. I haven't been there. But, I've had business partners create very, very stressful experiences for me when I tried to, like, with love, withdraw from an agreement that we've had. And that's made it's been very confronting for people. And it's challenging. Like, the challenges are guaranteed. Nobody promised us that we won't have them. It's just that how we approach them, if you want to do well in something, it generally requires more agility versus a rigidness.
Yeah.
We are so trained to be strong and rigid and march forward. And we're the girl that just fucking marches on and we just handle everything. And we're the ones like, she's got it handled.
Yes.
The fucking Olivia Popes of this world. Like, that isn't the way that I want to live, number one. And it's also not the way that God is going to protect me most.
Okay. Say more about that.
When God created me, God gave me many gifts. Directions, maps, not one of them. Just because I walk with purpose does not mean I know where I'm going. 99% of the time, if you see me in a conference center, do not follow me.
Oh, I got lost just going to the bathroom here in this very small building.
I tell people all the time, if I can tell they're following me, I'm like, just because I walk with purpose doesn't mean I know where I'm going. Please stop following me.
Send help.
Not one of my gifts, right? But some of my gifts are my intuition, the way that I can read people, the way that I understand people. These are things that are, like, really innate within me. And I believe, like, the intuition piece is really innate in all women. Like, it's just what we were made to do best. Like, the ability to have foresight that sometimes we can't explain. It doesn't make sense, right? And when I am in full truth, wholeness, integrity just simply means a whole part. A single whole part. When I'm in integrity with myself and in my truth, I have the most strength. I have the most agility. I have the most ability to be able to, like, I see the matrix in my mind, to be able to, like, move your body if something's coming your way and maybe I can miss the hit. But certainly if I do get hit, I have the ability to recover faster.
Yeah.
I don't want to prepare myself for this life where it's just always going to be easy breezy cover girl. Like, there's going to be real fucking shit that's going to have me on my knees, that is going to bring me back to God. And I'm here for those moments. Like, I have enough hindsight at 42 years old to look back and be like, every single one of those moments has been another piece of integrity and wholeness and strength for me. But when I am operating with somebody else's blueprint, I don't have wholeness. I have a fracture of me in it. And I've just decided, like, number one, I want to be able to respond, recover faster. I make money faster. I make more money than I ever thought I would in my entire life. I shouldn't be the girl that makes this money. I don't have the college degree. I was a teen mom. I was a drug dealer. I was a stripper. I figured out how to make money selling my body. Now I forgot how to make money selling my mind. I learned a lot from being a stripper, but
But really, when someone digs into your story, if they unpack the journey, like you said, you've led yourself through to earn the authenticity to sit here and share this with us, to share it with your clients. That's it. This is the secret, if there is one.
Mm-hmm. Oh my
incredible.
God, if there is one, this is it.
Yeah.
Which is like, number one, deciding that it's possible to have a more remarkable life.
Yeah.
And number two, requiring it.
Mm. Okay, I want to step back just really quick to something you mentioned about your story. You said, I'm going to forget the exact words you said it in about. So you started to learn how to make money, but you said in some way, shape, or form, money broke me. Like you didn't know how to have money. Was that connected to this ability for your nervous system to hold it? Take us back to that time, and how did you learn to expand? Maybe a better way to ask it is, I want to hear that time in your life, what that was like. And then I have a follow-up question to it.
So I remember it being Christmas Day, looking at my kids. My then husband was watching his favorite Christmas movie of all time, Die Hard. And he was just sitting there so peacefully on the couch. And we were in as our first Christmas in our $1 million home. And it, like, according to everyone else, we had made it. There was money in the bank. I had residual money coming in. I had built up a beautiful business in network marketing. So like money coming in automatically. And I was sitting there on the couch and it felt like my insides were being shredded with razor blades. And it just felt like it's all going to go away. I'm going to have to start all over. And it was because my nervous system hadn't caught up to where I was. It still felt like I was that broke stripper who was going to swing her ass around a stripper pole praying that somebody would buy a $20 dance that day and that I'd be able to pay my bills. Just because your life looks different doesn't mean that your nervous system understands it, interprets it as safe yet. So that piece nobody ever talked about that. Like, what do you mean my nervous system needs to learn to reinterpret safety to like what's actually happening? Also, my nervous system needed to reinterpret safety as having nothing to do with money. Because I know plenty of rich motherfuckers who feel so afraid inside. So afraid. And it's really sad looking at the statistics of suicide and entrepreneurship, because all we ever do is say, you just got to learn to be able to tolerate more pressure. And we don't question it. We don't ask why. We don't ask why we feel the pressure in the first place. And really, it's just a miswire. It's our mind interpreting something as it's been, typically, not necessarily as it is, or at least like that's what was going on. And like the money was there. I couldn't feel it. Like logically, the part of my mind that understands logic got it. The part of my mind that causes emotion in the body had not gotten there. Yeah. So that was the new level of work that I needed to begin, was how do I create new interpretations of what safety actually means, which is number one, tell the fucking truth every day. And you are the safest person on the planet because you're the most agile. Your brain is like more open to solutions. And when you feel like your life is being threatened, you get hyper focused. Your mind, let's say somebody comes up to you and they put a knife to your head and all of a sudden they run because they see the police coming, and the police come up to you and they're like, Lindsay, what did he look like? And you're like, I don't know, but I can describe the knife perfectly. Because your mind zeroed in on the first threat, which was the knife, not even the person, right? And so we lose our intuition. We have fast bursts of energy, but not long-term bursts of energy, which is why burnout was so prevalent in entrepreneurship. We're like moving off of pressure, sometimes because it actually feels good. It's not like excitement, but it's not long, stable energy, right? It's coming to protect ourselves, to prevent something bad from happening instead of creating this beautiful life that we're looking for. So
good. So to put it succinctly, if someone listening to this podcast knows they're ready to make a quantum leap into the next income level, what are the first 3 things you would have them do to start to train their nervous system to be able to hold more?
First of all, get clear on the conditions in which you're willing to have it.
Say more.
Meaning that if true freedom and money and the next version of wealth to you looks like having spaciousness. You taking on 7 more clients right now isn't building you into the life that you want.
Right.
So you have to be willing to say no to how it's been in order for it to be different, in order for it to feel different. So that's number 1. Number 2, we do have to learn the language of the unconscious, and the unconscious doesn't compute in logic. The unconscious only computes in metaphor, symbolism, and story. So either hire somebody that knows how to rewire and reinterpret. We built my AI to be able to do that for people. I told you about that earlier. Or you start to learn the language of the unconscious yourself. And this is something that I chose to do. This is my life's purpose. This is what I'm here to do. I don't think this is everyone's path. That's why women come to me and they're like, if you give me a fucking 4-step system, I'm like, no, you lean back. I do the thing. I'm the hairstylist here. Like, you don't go to the hairstylist and they just hand you the scissors. Like, that's the work that I do for people. I don't hand you the scissors and tell you to cut your own hair. So you can bring people into that world, but also there's lots of different ways. Even for me, for example, I tell these long stories in the way that I've done the whole time because I've actually been rewiring people to feel safer in choosing the things that feel true for them every second that we've been talking.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. It's the only way I know how to talk at this point. So that's the thing, is like, what I really want people to get from this statement is that if you feel like you've been trying so hard and it hasn't been working, it's not your fault. You're not bad at this. You're not bad at money because you haven't been able to figure out how to either earn it and hold it or invest it. You're not bad at money because you feel emotional stress around it. Even though you feel like you have so much, a lot of women will earn money and then they feel bad about their money. And then they're like, I should be more grateful. And then the guilt piles in even more. Like, all of those things are literally just a misinterpretation of the truth, mostly from early programming. You couldn't have done it differently. You couldn't feel differently. You can now that you're starting to understand, like, the language wasn't there for you to do it differently. Mm-hmm. But just looking at your numbers and being like, I have $100,000 in my bank account for the first time ever. Why do I feel still like I need to run for more? It's because it's just a miswire, a misinterpretation. So as much as I could say, like, do this one thing, it's a little bit more complex than that to shift the emotional state. But you can shift the emotional state by, number 1, choosing those values and only saying yes to anything that aligns with them. And then the last subtle thing that anybody can do is I started this personal thing called Go Me Club. And all I do is I open a note on my phone and I put a goal and an intention that I'm working towards. Mm-hmm. When I wanted to figure out how to not just have money, but to have money grow for me, I put a goal of like, I want to first have $10,000 in investments, and then $100,000, and then $200,000. And so as I would go, if I moved $500 into an investment or anything, I would go into my little sheet, and underneath that intention for myself, I would do a Go Me Club, move $500 towards it. Or if I like rewired a belief, I would say, rewired this belief that it wasn't possible for me. Anything that I would consider a stack towards this intention that matters to me, I would show myself where I'm doing it in the smallest possible ways.
And why is that important for helping us to do that rewiring? Because that's brilliant.
Because progress is humanity's kink, and we are all dirty little sluts for it.
I love you. I couldn't love you more. It's not possible. Okay, this
period.
You and I know we could go on for hours. We should just really do that. We should do like a Joe Rogan style podcast on all of this. But for today, I want you to share a little bit more about the AI tool, because this is brilliant. This is groundbreaking. This is really the future of, I think, how we're going to interact with people we want to learn from. So share about that tool, where people can find out about it, and then where they can find you.
I accidentally built this tool called Legend AI. I have this $59 a month subscription community where I just like want to tell the things that are alive in me to people. And I just record it on my phone and I put it in a private podcast feed. And I just tell all the people, all the things going on in my life that's working or didn't work, and like the lessons from it. And I took all of the transcriptions and I put it into a custom GPT so that people would be able to be like, when was the time where Andrea talked about her like dating God experiment, or when she talks about energetics or manifestation or shame or judgment, and they could just like type it in and search it. And I was like, this will just be useful to people because they keep emailing in and asking. And I'm like, this is very hard to be able to like document. And we started playing around with the GPT, and it was built for the Legend community. So that's how she became Legend AI. And because we put in over a year worth of transcription of my body of work, my methodology called the pleasure model, we started noticing that she was actually quite a great coach. And we're like, wow, she kind of is almost me. Yeah. And so one of my team members comes to me and she's like, Andrea, do you mind if I go dark for like 2 weeks? And I'm just going to work on this. And then let's just see what happens. We might have like a way better tool for people. And I was like, love it, do it. And she comes back and I test it. And I'm like, I couldn't even believe the way that she was able to, like, our team started testing her. And she's like, oh my God, like the constant anxiety that I've been feeling around this thing. One of our, my social media content manager was like, the anxiety's gone. And like this copywriting firm that I had hired, she was like testing it and she's like, oh my God, I just got like the best coaching of my life. Like I actually know what I truly want to do now. And it's not this.
Whoa.
And so it was just getting people to the truth really fast. And I was like, okay, it's almost there, but it's not up to my Virgo standards. And so I went into the instructions just one time at the end. This was the only part that I contributed besides the years of transcriptions. And I went through it and I just refined subtle little language in the way that I would for a client and the instructions for the GPT. And I was like, this is the most remarkable thing that I've ever built. It can do about 90% of what I can do for my clients, and my private rate is over $2,000 for a single hour. It can do like 90% of what I can do without me. And I'm like, now, even our new ads guy, he was like testing it and he's like, Andrea, I've never seen anything like that. Wow. He doesn't know anything about my world. He knows nothing about me. Yeah. He's just meeting me. He's about to help me start running my ads. And he's like, this is the most remarkable thing. People are coming to me and they're saying, I've done years of therapy and this has now replaced all of it. It's been more helpful than all of the therapy that I've ever done because it understands my instructions of how to rewire people to the truth. And when you're in the presence of truth, the truth knows how to multiply.
Okay, where can people find it or learn more and connect with you?
If you just go to my Instagram, it's like always linked into everything. You can DM me the word rewire and it will pop up for you. Send me a question, any questions you have about it. This is like my pride and joy, my baby. I want to get Legend into the hands of 1 million women.
Well, we'll link your Instagram handle and everything in the show notes so people know where to find it. I just have one final question. And it's been such an expansive season for you. You're someone just like me who's always growing and evolving. And something that I am doing, it's almost like my Go Me version of this is really at the end of every episode, we have this question that's an opportunity for all of us to pause and acknowledge ourselves for something. We just call it a powerhouse moment. It's anything big or small that you want to take the opportunity right now to celebrate yourself for. And then it's a reminder for everybody listening to pause and do the same. So when I ask, what's a recent powerhouse moment that you want to celebrate with us? What's the first thing that comes to mind?
You know, it's funny you're asking me that because it started with going to Powerhouse last year.
No way.
Yeah. Yeah. So last August, how I was earning money was I would create products and I would sell it. And it was like the thing that felt most alive to do. And I built out a program library that was like delicious and best. And all of a sudden I couldn't do it anymore. And the vitality was like gone. I imagined having done it and it was not there. And it was really scary. Because I was like, this is how I've always earned money. And I could have kept just selling it that way, but then I would have been out of integrity with my promise, not a penny from pressure, only pleasure. And I watched my income shift a little bit for a few months where it was like, this would normally send someone. But because of the nervous system work that I had done, and because of my devotion to this work, I was like, if I can't do it, holding this promise, I don't want to do it at all because this is what I stand for. And I got the nudge to go to Powerhouse 5 days before the event.
I remember getting your text. I was so excited.
Yeah. And I remember thinking like, I'm supposed to be at this event. I don't know why. And I was just sitting there in the audience. And that's where my new brand downloaded More Alive and creating the More Alive movement. And it was the beginning of, number one, a completely new brand. And number two, me running my business very differently, which was teeing me up to create Legend AI, which I had no idea it would be. I wasn't even using AI last year.
Yep.
Like not even using it. And now all of a sudden I'm like a leader in the movement of it.
Yeah.
Like you just can't predict it. But because I was willing number one, to do years of nervous system work to prepare me for that moment, to be able to hold my posture and say, I won't do it. I won't move from pressure. I'm still going to do it this way. When we launched Legend like essentially launched herself and made us like $150,000 like in a matter of weeks. And I was just like, oh, this is it now. It gets to be easier than it's ever been before. But it did have to get a little bit harder and concerning. I wouldn't say scary. Like there were very few moments where I was like, am I going to make it through this?
Yeah.
But what was happening for me was it was shifting the way I was doing business. I'm finally running paid ads, which I had never done before.
Mm-hmm.
Money is coming in easier. We have funnels set up, and it's just like, it set me up now to be able to write my books and to not have private clients. I don't do private client work right now, and to have all of the space and capacity for this next season of my life, which is going to be more authorship.
I am so inspired by you every single time we get to drop in and have the deepest of deep conversations, because that's how we roll. And I cannot wait to watch what's coming next.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
My pleasure.